high school girl in Michigan was cyberbullied for more than a year.
And who turned out to be the suspect shocked everyone.
Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. I am Sherrilyn and I am so glad you found me. If you're not new here, welcome back. That's what we say. Okay. Oh, that rhymed. Anyways, welcome back. Thank you for continuing to come here. I don't know how many ways or times I can say it. Like, I do appreciate it because it doesn't get better than this. We have a lot to get through today. I don't want to say excited because like that's not a good word for it, but I feel like I need to talk to somebody about this because what in the hell? And this is kind of one of those cases where I feel like even if you did see it because it's going viral, you still want to watch and like talk about it because that's me. I'm like, I don't care who's talking about it, how many times I got to rewatch it. It doesn't feel real. So that's why we're here. Okay. And I don't know how many times I've said in the past that this is one of the craziest, most infuriating, and most like, what the is wrong with people cases. But like, I feel like this is like the case, at least to date. Okay. There is absolutely no justification for what we are going to talk about. None at all. It is a cyberbullying / stalking / catfish monster case targeted towards a group of young teens, primarily targeting two 13-year-olds, a girl named Lauren Licari and her boyfriend Owen McKinney. They were stalked, harassed, bullied, terrorized, I would say, for nearly 2 years. And it took the FBI getting involved to finally find out who was behind it all. And when I tell you you are not ready, no one was. Before we get into that though, I do have one quick message for you. I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor today, Rocket Money. If you have never heard of Rocket Money, it is an all-in-one personal finance app that helps you cancel it actually helps you cancel all of your subscriptions, lower your bills, set saving goals, and get on top of your budget all in one place. Full transparency, because I am in Canada, I cannot use the app, but my co-host, Chelsea Suarez, does, as do my good friends, Jesse and Lily, over at the Do We Know Them podcast. And I feel like all of them vouching for it and the way that it's described and how passionate they get about it, I'm actually really jealous that I can't use it. So I'm taking their advice and I'm passing it on to you because I wish so desperately that I could use this because this is the exact app that I need in my life. And one of those features that I really need in my app is the subscription canceling tool. I cannot tell you how many times I will go and look at my bank statement and I will see a yearly recurring charge. Those are the ones that really get you, where you pay the full year and it's like, oh, we'll see you again next year. You're not going to remember to cancel that. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're charged with the $200 payment for a year for an app that you used like twice the year before. So with Rocket Money, it helps you cancel all of those forgotten subscriptions. They also have a bill negotiation feature, which I think is so cool. It can do things like save money on your internet bill without dealing with customer service. That alone for me is also worth the app. I think last time we did the sponsorship with Rocket Money, I talked about when I had to call customer service to cancel my cable bill, and I came out with not only adding more features or channels to my cable bill, but then I also added on the security camera footage. I cannot be the one to be trusted to talk to anybody. I just go in full panic mode, anxiety kicks in. I just want to get off the phone as fast as I can. So I just agree. I'm literally a dream. So again, Rocket Money, please, I'm begging you. Come to Canada. If you are in the US though, and you want to use all of the amazing features of Rocket Money, go on over to rocketmoney.com/Sherrilyn or click the link in my description to try Rocket Money for free. You can also unlock even more of their features with the premium option. Once again, that is rocketmoney.com/Sherrilyn or click the link in my description to try Rocket Money for free. And thank you so much, Rocket Money, for sponsoring today's video. And I will be awaiting your call for the Canada unveiling. Thank you so much. All right, so this is the newest, I guess, viral documentary on Netflix right now. It's called Unknown Message. We'll have it right here on the screen. I'm so sorry. I'm so unprepared. But as per usual, when I get sucked into those rabbit holes, I've got to go and look more into it. And I found out so much more. So if you think the documentary is bad, it's actually so much worse. And that's not comforting at all. It's just facts. So this case happened in a small town called Beale City in Michigan. And from what I gather, Beale City is a super tight, farming community. If I get this wrong, forgive me. I'm not from there. I've never been there. I'm just usually going based off what's available on the internet. And sometimes people people are like, the way you explained it is so wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, forgive me. I only have my, my sources on the internet. And I mean, it's the internet, man. I'm doing the best I can. So this is what I'm learning about it. Farming community, they've got like 2 pubs and like 1 flashing intersection, okay? Many of its families, I guess, go back generations. And it's the type of town where, like when somebody needs a hand or a family member is sick, like everybody rallies together in support of you. There's like the meal trains that are started to help out, the whole 9 yards. Also in the heart of this town is a public school, and it is a K-12 school with just, I think like max is like 50 students per grade. And I think in the documentary, a lot of the students said like, you'll never have like more than like 30 students per class, okay? This is where Lauren and her boyfriend Owen, grew up together and were considered the golden couple of the school when they started dating. Reading about their relationship in an article for The Cut by Lauren Smiley, it definitely took me back to the good old days of young love. I'd love to hear in the comments like who your first love was. Side quest, sorry. Owen says they started dating because he had his friends tell Lauren that he liked her, and then she was like, oh, okay, and then went to one of his football games, and then after the game he texted her and was like, so like, are we dating? And she said, I don't know. Do you want to be? And he's like, sure. That's how it went. So it seemed like a good fit though. They had a lot in common. They were super athletic, both in all sorts of sports. Like of course in those days they were thinking, this is going to last forever. And it wasn't far from the realm of possibilities. Owen's parents, Dave and Jill McKinney, they'd also started dating in 7th grade. Dave had been the star outfielder, and then Jill was a Beal cheerleader. And the McKinneys had become an established family in the area. Dave coached the kids' baseball team. He worked as an IT manager at a farm lender, very active in the community. And Jill was all-star volunteer mom at the Catholic elementary school. And Lauren's parents had been together for years as well. Her mom, Kendra, she didn't grow up in Beal. She was about 2 hours away, but while she was studying at Central Michigan University, she met her husband, Sean, and he had grown up in Beal City. So when they got together, she was kind of like grandfathered into the local group. Lauren was their only child. They had her in 2007, and Kendra's described as a super involved mom. Both of them are like super involved parents. Sean would go to all of Lauren's after school activities, teach her how to hunt and fish. Kendra, being a former high school basketball player, she coached Lauren's softball team in elementary school and then basketball in junior high. Everybody seemed to be like super locked in and involved in like some capacity with their kids and then also like each other. So it was a bonus for Lauren and Owen when COVID hit. They're in 7th grade, and then as the restrictions are like kind of slowly starting to lift, and you could have like your cohort family, the Licaris and the McKinneys were each other's like pandemic bubble for the resets of like, those dinners were really super, super, what am I trying to say? Important, grounding. And so that's what they would do. They'd have like bonfires and dinners together just to, stay sane. So as, like time's moving on and restrictions around the world are lifting a bit more and we're all trying to get back to normalcy, another family in town, the Wilsons, decide to throw their annual Halloween party. And it sounds like this is like the place to be for Halloween parties because it involves like the parents and also the kids. There's like, I think like a haunt on their acreage. It sounds like a really cool event. So Owen and his family are going, and he said that he wanted Lauren to go, but she wasn't always really down with the girls in their grade and just kind of wanted to do something together. But since he was already committed and wanting to go with his family, he was kind of like working on getting her to want to go with him. So about 2 weeks before the party, one of many anonymous texts come through. It's the start of one of many. That's what I was trying to say. And it comes through like a group chat with Owen, Lauren, and then this random number. And the message says that Lauren's not invited to the annual Halloween party and that Owen was planning on breaking up with her, like just thought I should let you know. The text said, it's obvious he wants me. His attention is constantly on me. Not sure what he told you, but he is coming to the Halloween party and we are both DTF. If you don't know what that is, the lingo of the kids, it's down to It went on to say, he wants nothing to do with you. He thinks you're annoying and an ugly ass bitch and wishes you would leave him the alone. Why do you think he's on his phone all the time texting me? You didn't get invited to sleep with him. I did. I'm spending the night with him. I'm sharing a bed with him, not you. So Owen's like, what in the hell? Lauren, I did not say this. I don't know who this is. They're, I'm assuming, flabbergasted and disturbed. So they naturally go and show their parents who, I can understand of just like seeing this, reassuring them like, hey, this is like this one random text. Like, this is somebody who's probably jealous of you, wanting you two to break up. This is really inappropriate, but just like, don't feed into it. Ignore it. So being a small town, this news of this text starts to travel quick. And Tammy Wilson, the host of the party and whose daughter Chloe goes to school and grew up with Owen and Lauren, calls Lauren's mom Kendra and says to her, like, assuring her, you guys and Lauren specifically are certainly invited to the party. And that was just kind of it. It was just like, okay, like situation dead. And just as quick as these messages like started to shake things up, it all stopped and life goes on for about a year. I think it was like 11 months. And then just like the first time, like seemingly out of nowhere, texts start coming through. But this time the sender was relentless. I'm saying did not stop. There were up to 40 to 50 messages a day coming through. And when you think about that, like that's a lot. And although they were both sent to Lauren or Owen or Lauren and Owen in a group chat, most of it was targeted towards Lauren. For months, she got messages like, you're the ugliest person I've ever met, or he will be with me while your ugly ass is alone. People are getting sick of hearing about the golden couple. And the sender was hard on her insecurities, like preying on Lauren's insecurities, which at 13, we definitely don't need any help in that department. We are so hard on ourselves. My goodness, if I could go back and just like hug little 13-year-old Sherrilyn, I would. I think that would actually probably do her really well and make other people's lives better, because I was like one of those ones who was like so insecure and just hated myself so much and going through it in life, and it reflected on like how I treated others. So adding this on top of, being a 13-year-old girl is absolutely horrible. She would get messages like about her insecurities, like her biggest insecurities. A lot of it would be like her body or her performance like during a sport event. So with her body, these people would call her an anorexic toddler and say that she had a little tyke's body. This is one of the messages that she received that just kind of like encompasses everything, like attacking her relationship, her insecurities, just it's awful. It's coming up on the screen exactly how it was sent to her. The grammar, everything is painful, but I guess I'm going to read it as that came through, but this is, I don't want you guys to be like, Sherrilyn, what's going on? If you're just like listening, this is how it came through. So it says, low, he hates you. You embarrass him. Make him miserable. Facts, he avoids your sorry ass all day. You see him pick us over you. For real, you worst girlfriend. He wants 0 with your sorry, ugly, anorexic ass. Check the screenshots we sent you. The shit he said. We promise we will break you. You are through. Epic for us finally. We will make it embarrassing for you both. We will tell all and everything it takes. I guarantee you we will break you this week. We've tried for over a year. We will do it for now for sure. We don't want to see you even look at each other. He already chose us, not you. He won't be with you this weekend, so don't even ask. He's got plans and you will be broken. When I saw this like on the documentary, like as like coming through as a text, it's so much. So can you just imagine as like a 13-year-old just like getting these like massive, and it's like they're constantly coming, like so much more was said in addition to this. It just breaks my heart. If I get like a big novel text, even if it's positive to me, it feels overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, what is all going to be in here? So like for being a 13-year-old, I just couldn't help but think of what that would also feel like on top of like what is freaking being said. And this is disturbing, but the most disturbing is the sexual things that this person would say about Lauren and Owen's relationship. We are talking thousands of messages repeatedly telling Lauren that Owen is going to break up with her because she's not fulfilling him sexually. Things like he wants sex, BJs, and making out. He don't want your sorry ass. Trigger warning. I'm so sorry, guys. It's so inappropriate. We're gonna obviously have to mute a lot of this or like bleep it because of monetization and YouTube guidelines, but you'll get the point. His dick and fingers in my and mouth. Owen and I down to finger my in his face. Make him make it. I'm disturbed as it is. Like, so, but let's remember, these are 13-year-olds. They're just getting barrages of these types of messages every day. And at first, Lauren and Owen, they're trying to like shrug it off like they did before. They even tried blocking the numbers, but because the sender was using an app that kept regenerating new phone numbers, they couldn't block them. It ultimately led to Lauren and Owen's parents going to the police to try to figure out who was doing this. Because of the app, it also prevented law enforcement from tracing the texts, unfortunately. But one thing that everybody could agree on was that this person was obviously within the circle of these kids and knew a lot about them. They sometimes referred to Lauren by her nickname Lo and would also comment on things like the outfit that she was wearing that day. For example, one of the texts is trash, bitch, don't wear leggings. Ain't no one want to see your anorexic flat ass. Another text she got was on the morning before a Friday night football game that Owen was obviously playing in. Lauren went to school wearing Owen's like jersey, and she got a text that said, "What the f***? You need to take that off. You are embarrassing him." The sender also knew like what was going on with Lauren after school, like during her after curricular activities. They knew how many basketball points that she had scored and even made fun of her if it wasn't good by saying things like, "Laughing my ass off, 2 points, you suck." So this obviously led people to believe that this was somebody at the school. Both Lauren and Owen's moms had the same suspect in mind, and they shared that with the police, and it was Chloe Wilson. So that was the very popular freshman who was on the same sports teams as Lauren and whose parents are the ones who throw the big Halloween party every year. They thought that they caught a potential slip of Chloe's when this cyber bully gloated in a text about scoring 12 points in a basketball game. And so when the sheriff looked at the scoreboard of the night that message came through, the only person that had scored 12 points that night was Chloe. The sender also made references to being untouchable because of connections to the police, and Chloe's dad was law enforcement. He was a police sergeant. And when police searched her phone, they did see several like burner account apps on her phone. Now, Chloe insisted like she was being framed and thought that it was possibly Owen's younger cousin who Chloe said didn't like her. Ultimately, though, they end up going through all of the things that led to Chloe, looked through her phone, and were not able to find like any phone records that matched Chloe in any way. And the police stopped looking at her and had to wait for their next possible lead, which literally leaves Lauren and Owen at the mercy of this monster because the messages just got more and more vicious, going as far as encouraging Lauren to take her own life. She'd get messages that said, "Kill yourself now, bitch. His life would be better if you were dead. No one will care if you're gone. And dead, hashtag bang bang, hashtag suicide." There was even a message that came through, and it was a photo of Ashley at her homecoming. And on the photo, there was a vomiting emoji pasted over her head, and then just like a bunch of like words written, you know, when you can just like kind of like do the markup or whatever, said stink. A bunch of things just like all over her body. Understandably, this put Lauren in an awful place. She was constantly anxious, obsessively worrying about not only like who this person was, but were they right? Is this what people felt about me? And then also if Owen was doing and believed all the things that this person is saying that, you know, saying that he was doing and cheating on her and not wanting to be with her. And she just said she literally couldn't trust anybody anymore, looking around her shoulder all the time at who this might be. And it ultimately led to Owen saying he needed a break from it all. And maybe if they just like gave this person what they want by breaking up, it would just end it all. And so they did. They decided to break up and hoped it would all stop, but it didn't. If you've had this situation of, you know, that first love and then breakup and how hard that already is without any other interfering elements, okay? Like you already haven't been like pushed to this extreme, and insecurity and having anxiety. I cannot freaking imagine what it would have been like to have gone through all of this, lead to breaking up with like, you know, your first love of your life, and then it getting worse. So instead of it just stopping, it was rubbed in Lauren's face. And she got messages that said, "You are worthless. You mean nothing. You never have. Get a life out of here. Owen will never look at you again or talk to you. You f***ed his life up so bad. His family hates you for it, and he will never in his life acknowledge you again. Get the f*** lost, bitch. He is done with you. That makes me sick. It makes me sick to think of this poor, like, young teen girl going through, at that point in her time, like, the hardest thing to go through for most, young girls in this time in their life is that first breakup. And then this is what you deal with. And Lauren said sometimes, like, she would try to, be brave and fight back. And she would, like, send, like, a little feisty message. But for the most part, she just pleaded for it to stop and said, like, I honestly, like, she made it very clear, like, I cannot take this anymore. Whatever you want me to do, I will do it. Just please stop. Which the sender did not care about. It just kept going. And her and Owen's parents kept going to, school officials, kept going to the sheriff's department, like figuring out, like, where are we at? Like, this needs to stop. It's getting so bad. So the local authorities ended up calling the FBI for reinforcements, and a cyber expert from the FBI Computer Crimes Task Force, I think I got that, ended up getting involved. Now, since the messages were sent through an app that disguises phone numbers and just like regenerates them, he ended up submitting a search warrant to the app, and he saw that some of the numbers were from Verizon. So he submitted another search to Verizon, and he saw a number that kept popping up. If you are driving, stop. JK, you could be listening when you're driving. That's fine. We are on Spotify, by the way. Shout out Spotify. I don't think you guys are ready. So we're just going to rip off the Band-Aid, okay? The sender was Kendra Licari, Lauren's mom. I literally still have no words. And I've watched the documentary like 5 times this weekend and talked about it with like anybody who will talk about it with me. And I'm still shocked. I'm still like waiting for like a just kidding or like an explanation why. Like the things this mother said and did to her own daughter, there is nothing in the world that would ever make me do this. My life could literally be on the line. Someone could literally be like, if you want to survive, like you have to do this. You have to like berate and belittle and harass and stalk and terrorize your child. I'd be like, well, this is the end of the road for me. There's no way you could ever get me to do this to my daughters. I would rather die to protect them than do this to them. I'm going to get my amazing editors, Jay and Kaya, to like flash up a series of the texts just that we've gone through, just to kind of like feel how overwhelming that is. And that is like a morsel, just a fraction of what these kids went through, specifically Lauren. Right? Because remember, there's like 40 to 50 a day, often, for 2 years. So when the police got news of who this was, their reaction was like pretty much the same. Just utter shock, disbelief, even being like, are you sure? Because like they're going to have to go and like have this conversation and charge her, right? And there was no doubt the number led back to Kendra. So when they go to the Licari's home, which was all caught on body cam footage, and you can see some of that in the documentary, almost instantly, Kendra admitted to being the one behind it, kind of. Kendra said initially she had started sending the text to investigate the earlier texts and like the mystery of who that was that sent those texts that just like stopped around Halloween. She wanted to investigate that herself. So she's claiming that the ones that were sent around the Halloween party that first like planted those seeds of doubt about like Owen and Lauren's relationship, she wasn't involved in. Okay, that was somebody else. And she said that, yeah, those messages had stopped for a while, but she wanted to get to the bottom of who it was. Like she wasn't accepting that it just like had stopped. And so she decided she was going to start also sending text messages to Lauren and Owen and try to coax them into potentially revealing clues of who this could be. Literally does not make sense. I've tried to read that and listen to her statement 20 different times to try to understand what the hell she's saying. It makes no sense. You're talking in circles to get yourself out of a situation, and quite frankly, I don't even believe it, so I don't want to entertain it. But anyway, she says that then once she started, she didn't know how to stop. And to that, my humble opinion, I just say bull forking. the texts are similar, like the goal was to break them up, to prey on Lauren's insecurities of him like doing something behind her back, having like same sexual connotations like mixed in it, like being like, we're both down to bone at this party. And that's one of the most disturbing things about this. I mean, like obviously telling your daughter to take her own life every day is horrendous, and that's like the most infuriating part. But one of the most like disturbing, sickening parts about it is that these were 13-year-olds, and the vulgar, sexually explicit things coming from not only a grown-ass woman but a mom to them it's disgusting. Her explanation, and I think she still stands by this whenever she's asked about it, is that her actions stemmed from previous trauma that she hadn't processed. So Kendra alleged that she was raped at 17, and as Lauren was approaching, those teenage years, repressed memories were surfacing and she got scared. She said, I was afraid of letting Lauren grow up and wanted to protect her and keep her safe. I don't have much to say in terms of her allegations. If that's true, that's absolutely horrible. But this is what upsets me in these situations is something bad that happens to you should not be an excuse for horrendous things that you do after to other people, especially your child. Should it have happened? Absolutely not. Should you be the one that has to be responsible for healing yourself? It sucks. You shouldn't have to be, because it was somebody else's decision to harm you and traumatize you so horribly that you are required to heal yourself, but it's your responsibility at that point. And that's horrible. Like, I get it. Being someone in that situation, like, it's not fair, but it's also not okay to use that as an excuse to terrorize people, let alone children, and one of them being your own child. Now, Skye Borgman, who is the director of the documentary, she did an interview with Time magazine, and she even said she didn't really think that by talking with Kendra that Owen would Lauren, but, trying to like think of her reasoning, she thought that maybe doing the things that she did to Lauren would keep her closer, because she'd have Lauren like come to her for help, so then she'd feel like she could go to her if something happened. Again, I think that Skye was like, gave her too much grace, I will say. And I get it, like that's your job, especially like documentary, and you're supposed to try to like weigh out all of the angles. But she does ask Kendra in the documentary why she did what she did, especially about the overwhelming messages about like Lauren taking her own life. And really all Kendra had to say was, well, I wasn't really scared of her hurting herself. It's like, oh, okay. So because your child is, thank God, so freaking strong, it was okay, because you're just like, she could take it. Like, I didn't actually think she was gonna do it, but like, it's disgusting. It's not an answer at all. And even Skye said that in the Times interview. She said like maybe the escalation to telling Lauren to take her life was like a last attempt to get her to like stay as close as she possibly could to like her mom, and then said, although that's extremely, extreme and not an answer at all. If we're gonna ask me, again, who am I? No one with an opinion that matters in this, like as far as, clinical or anything like that. But I fully believe that this woman was obsessed with this young boy. In the documentary, Owen says like she would do things like cut up his steak into bite-sized pieces when he was over for dinner with Lauren or whatever, and even frequently checked in on him like one-on-one to ask how he was doing. But in the article from The Cut, there was way more. So that was weird in the freaking documentary. And I've seen people talk about it where they're just like, there's got to be more to it. When it comes to like Owen, like there's got to be like some sort of obsession there. And based on that article from The Cut, holy cannoli. So here's a few things. So one, in 8th grade, Kendra, she signed up to coach Owen's track team. And at the time, like he didn't think anything of it. He was like, well, I look at her like a second mom anyways. And she seemed to support his and Lauren's relationship. She even drove Lauren 3 hours across Michigan to watch one of his championship games. And okay, you could be like, yeah, you're a really, I guess like supportive mom for taking your your daughter to go be able to watch her mans play, 3 hours away. But, for for me, if that was my daughter, I'd be like, well, like you either hitch a ride with them or you're gonna have to miss it out. Let's FaceTime someone in the stands. Anyways, she very much seemed to be involved in the relate. It's almost like, I don't even know how to say it. I guess like looking into things is almost like vicariously living through Lauren. There's a text message thread that came up from Kendra to Lauren from a volleyball match, and Owen and Lauren had been sitting apart from each other, and Lauren just gets like a bunch of texts from her mom, who also was there, and she's like sitting across from her like in the gym, and it just says, sit next to him, answer me, come here now, I'm pissed, move your ass now. I am fucking pissed off. This is fucking ridiculous. Answer me and move your ass. So it's like, she's like telling her what to do. Like, go sit with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like she's like trying to like live. It's fucking sick. And even with like those anonymous texts, I mean, now that we know that it was her, definitely put a lot on Lauren about just like not being good enough. One of the texts was like, maybe you shouldn't have picked cross country over him. You proved he isn't important to you. We were there though. You didn't get with him in bed. You didn't sneak out with him. You dress awful. Ain't no guy want that. So it's like I don't know, and even like going back and looking at all those messages, knowing now like who it was behind it, that's very much the tone. It's like, why are you wearing that? He would think that's embarrassing. Why are you wearing it? Anyways, we also learn that after Lauren and Owen broke up, Kendra would still go to his games, and his mom, Jill, said that once this all came out, I think most people do, like when you find out information over something that you're like kind of like concerned about, you like look back on things that you kind of just brushed off and you're just like, oh, okay, well that's creepy. That makes sense. So one of the situations was when Jill and Kendra were trying to like figure things out, they'd be like, well, who was there? It could only have been like this person, this person, this person. And Jill's like, oh my gosh, so many of those details. Yeah, it was Kendra who was there every single time. One of the situations was like this photo that was sent in this group chat of Owen, and it was taken at his parents' Christmas party. So they're like, okay, well, it's somebody who attended the Christmas party. And at first, this was another reason why everybody suspected Owen's younger cousin of framing Chloe, because like Chloe's like, well, she doesn't like me. It was like somebody who was always within that group as well. But then Jill said, looking back, Kendra was also at that party. And I mean, Kendra was everywhere. Even after Lauren and Owen broke up, she was still close with Jill. She would like keep tabs on Owen through her. She'd ask her like, when's the next game? Oh, maybe I'll like come support, do you think the kids will get back together? And it's through Jill that she found out that Owen got a new girlfriend, and little did they know at that time, the texter had like made a comment about it, harassing them about like this situation. And well, they knew because it was freaking Kendra. Now, some people I've seen believe that Kendra has the cyber version of Munchausen syndrome, and she was wanting her daughter to need her in such a way that she was willing to hurt her. And in this way, she chose, I guess emotionally and manipulatively rather physically, where, like you would normally see a mother making their child ill. I can see some of that argument. And like I said, I am in no way a professional or any expertise, so my opinion is not valid. But the fact that she was keeping tabs on Owen after the breakup is just, it's so unsettling to me that I'm like, I don't think this had anything to do with maintaining a close relationship with your daughter at all. Like a full year after Owen and Lauren had broken up, like she finds out about this new girlfriend and like starts harassing them. It's just, that makes no freaking sense. Like it had already been like said and done, And you can't help but imagine a role reversal here of this being like a father, Owen's dad, doing this to Lauren. If that would be the case, like death to them all. It's absolutely disgusting. And that's why I just like that specifically, I think like when you go through and like look at the text and like really think about it in that aspect and you reread it knowing that it came from her, it's very obvious. Like I just cannot see it having anything to do with like keeping Lauren close or like protecting her, and everything to me, in my opinion, about Owen. So once all this came out that it was Kendra, from there they just started to snowball, okay? And more of Kendra's lies started unraveling. So not only was she actually terrorizing her daughter and other teens. She also confessed that she had been lying about her employment for the past year, claiming to have a job that she didn't. Kendra was seen as the breadwinner. Sean worked at the local auto body shop, and she initially worked as a bank supervisor, and then at one point she was in HR at Central Michigan University. And then in the spring of 2019, she got a job at Ferris State University, which was like a 40-minute drive away, as the IT service desk specialist in cell phones, which is interesting since it was like the phones. And she told her family that with this job came a huge salary bump. So a few months into the job, during the fall that Lauren and Owen had started dating, the family moved and upgraded to this like 4-bedroom rustic log cabin in the woods, which Sean said was like their dream house. Now, people in their circle said that Kendra was the one who oversaw absolutely everything in the household and family, which is why, the argument of like, well, how did he not know? It made sense. Like everything from Lauren's schedule to all of the finances for the family, Kendra oversaw. Sean's coworkers even used to like joke about Kendra being like his sugar mama and didn't know like how he could, get dressed in the morning without her. But they said it wasn't like malicious. It was just like that's the way they worked, and he just, she liked doing it and he just let her do it. Looking back though, people started to see, okay, yeah, there were several instances where things, happened that suspected that they were not as well off as Kendra implied. That made sense. So at the auto body shop, there was a couple times that Sean had vented about finances and missed house payments because he always would back Kendra up, I guess. He said the excuses for that was because somebody in New Mexico had stolen their identity. One time his pickup truck had been repossessed, and he said it was because like a scammer had done it. And this is kind of like what Kendra's feeding to him, right? Because nothing's getting paid at all. So it's like these are what he's being told, and then he's like feeding that to people. Other people in their friend group said that there was a time that they had all gone as a group to, this little spring break getaway where they rented some condos and stuff. And Kendra's portion, her check bounced. And then so the excuse that she had gotten or given was that they had also gotten hacked. So as all of these pieces are like starting to be put together through everybody, including Sean, they find out that Kendra was essentially lying about everything and just like living this double life. So the job change that she had in 2019 was not because of a position pay increase. It was because the Central Michigan University fired her for her performance. And the new job that she had at the Ferris State did not come with this big wage bump, like she said. And they were really struggling financially. There were multiple bill collectors that were taking them to court, like in the process of taking them to court for unpaid utility and insurance bills. In fact, when Lauren and Owen first started dating, so they had, moved to their dream cabin, but when they first had started dating, they were living in a different house, and that house got foreclosed on. But Kendra told her family that she had sold it, and then they moved into this like log cabin. Well, the way they did that was because they entered into a land contract. So like essentially they were committing to buying this house. A lot of people will do this if they have bad credit, and you'll pay more like installments to the buyers and then like take it over at one point. Edmonton, or I don't know if other places in Canada, but it's rent to own. By the spring of 2021, Kendra's at her new job, right? This Ferris State one where she said she's getting all this, like extra money stuff. She's not. All of this stuff is piling up. And then she gets taken aside by the managers, and she's put on a performance improvement plan because she was spending excessive time on non-work texts and calls. They noticed how much she was on her phone. It had nothing to do with work. And this is because like when you look at it, now we know she's harassing children all freaking day, mostly her daughter. She ended up quitting that job because she couldn't meet the standard of the job description of like, hey, let's not do that, but didn't tell anybody. She just said like, oh, she got moved to like an even better position where she got to work from home instead of doing like the 40-minute drive. What's also crazy is in that article in The Cut, several times students and like other parents would notice that Kendra would be in the school parking lot at like odd times, like during school hours. And then she would like randomly have an excuse like, Like one time, even Jill, Owen's mom, had said that her husband saw Kendra and that she was like looking down like at her phone, and Kendra not long after had messaged Jill and was like, oh, haha, I bet he was wondering like what I was doing there. I had to pull over to deal with, I think she said like a call from work or something like that. So like this was something like, again, looking back, people were noticing, and it's so freaking creepy when you think about it like that. Like she said she doesn't have a job. She's just sitting in the parking lot of the school harassing these children, and she's not paying her bills. So like I don't understand people who like live this type of life, lie to this extent, betray people to this extent, and then it affects your whole life, and then you're just left like constantly lying to cover it up. So just before the FBI like figured this out, the cabin's owners, so the owners of the property that they were like trying to buy from them, they had already started the eviction process and taken it to court because Kendra hadn't been paying the bills, and she had just kept it from everybody, kept it from Sean, didn't have any idea, and she was in the process of trying to like ensure that he didn't figure this out. She had put in a request to delay the eviction, saying like, we don't have anywhere to go, we have a child, like please let us figure it out. But it ultimately led to like this all unfolding, and then the court at around the same time like evicting them. Kendra, instead of just like owning up, especially at this point, she tells the family that the house's foundation cracked and that they had to move out while it was being lifted for repairs. Like she's just this sick sociopath, because then what are you gonna do? Like that that's not the truth, so then what? Now she was ultimately arrested and charged with 2 counts of stalking a minor and 2 counts of communicating with another to commit a crime. It's like, you're like, I wish it could be charged with go to drastic jail. No, that would be sentencing. Okay, never mind, Sherrilyn. That part will come. So in April 2023, she pleaded guilty to the 2 stalking counts, and she was sentenced to 19 months to 5 years in prison. So that was April 2023. She was released on parole in August 2024. So did the bare minimum. Again, we have to think, what if the roles were reversed here? Like, what if this wasn't the mom? I just like, that makes me so mad, because at the end of the day, you have these victims who I feel aren't getting like full justice. And I get that it's probably hard enough, like just understanding that this is your mom or like your girlfriend's mom. But it's like, are you also understanding like the lack of justice for you and what you endured for all of that? Her sentence was less than what they went through being terrorized. One thing I want to talk about is I've seen the conversation about Lauren's reaction in the documentary of her finding out that this was her mom, and how it appeared that she didn't seem phased. I would agree to a certain extent. There's one point where the officer is explaining things to Sean, her dad, Kendra's husband, and she's just kind of like sitting there at the table, and she's got her leg up and she's like picking at her toes. And to me, maybe it's because she had just heard all of this, so it wasn't a shock at that moment. I think that she possibly was still like in shock, trying to like disassociate, and also like has to be extremely uncomfortable, like processing. As an adult, I wouldn't know how to like at that moment process. So at her age, I did not see it that way at all. Although one of Lauren's friends was interviewed for that Cut article and said that after Kendra was arrested, she did ask Lauren, did you know that it was your mom? And allegedly Lauren said no, but that she was suspicious that last month, like the last month leading to her arrest. Regardless, I think it's very obvious in Kendra's interview. Like I said, she's in this documentary, even on the body cam footage, that she is very used to manipulating situations. So in the footage of that body cam, Sean's telling her, like, you need to leave. You need to go to your parents' house. He's like, call them. She's like, no, like, can we talk about this when the police leave? He's like, no, I'll call them right freaking now then if you're not going to. It's like he was like, I've seen this song and dance. I've seen you like talk your way out of things before. This is not happening now. Like, there's nothing that you can say to make this better. You have to leave. And while that's going on, she's like hugging Lauren from behind, almost like this protective, like it's like she's the protector and like giving her kisses. And I think that scene, is very telling of her just like behind her in that protective way. She's crying over her daughter, but still like holding her in a protective way. And it's like the literal reason that we are in this situation is because you did this. You literally told your child to take their life for a freaking year. Sent vile, disgusting messages to her and her boyfriend. And then you can just see, like, she literally thought that she was going to be able to manipulate and talk her way out of it, or just like even in those actions. I don't think Lauren knew. Also, based on some of the jail letters that the documentary showed, she continued to try to manipulate and prey on Lauren's emotions. In one of those letters, she said how sad she was that Lauren didn't say I love you at the end of like the last phone call that they had. So like has this call with Lauren. She doesn't say she loves you. First of all, she doesn't owe that to you. Look what you did to her. But anyways, you think that the best thing to do is to get off the phone, go and write your letter and point that out. Like your feelings were hurt. Okay. Where are you right now? Yeah, in jail. Why? Because you told me to take my life and terrorized me for 2 years, Mom. I know it's probably hard for people to understand right now seeing some of Lauren's clips in the documentary because she does say that she's just like, like I miss her. Like I do love her. And yeah, that's your mom. Like most of us have never been in this situation to try to understand what that's like. But I feel like we've all been in situations where like, people we love a lot have done something that we're just like, well, I really wouldn't do it. And it's not even close to this capacity, but you know what I mean? Like, and you're just like, well, I love you. Like my loved ones have made some crap decisions and it's like I wouldn't ever want that for you, but I love you. And in this situation, like you're trying to understand where like a teen's emotions and like confusion lies. Like obviously she is so aware that this was her mom, and then you're trying to be like, how could she do this? But in the same sense, you are not a monster like your mom and have empathy and a heart and love her and can't just turn that off, and figuring out like how to navigate that and like where to go. I would say like I would be willing to bet that as she gets older, that relationship will get further and further apart, and hopefully she'll know like she never deserved that at all and protect herself. I'm happy to say that Sean and Kendra are divorced. He divorced her and won custody of Lauren. And from what I know, like right now, there is, even though she's out of prison, she is not able to see Lauren. And I think that a lot of that is actually Lauren's wanting, which I love for her. I'm sure it's hard and I'm sure that's terrible and that's heartbreaking in itself because that's her mom. But I think that is obviously like the best thing for her. She did say that she, hopes to rebuild a relationship when the time is right, however that looks. It's just a sad situation all along. Like this just poor freaking innocent children and this whack job who thinks that she's entitled to her child still because she's like on paper her mom, but like what the fork? Just what I'm saying, guys, there is no way to make this make sense. None. And it's so sad because it's like these kids, right? Owen and Lauren, they never got back together. And apparently now they're not even like close. They grew up as kids in this town. And obviously, like that was, their first love. But I feel like in a situation where even if they broke up, there would be, when you're that close with like people, I feel like those like tight-knit communities, you kind of like obviously go through like the heartache, but then kind of find your way back of like being friends to some capacity. And like, it sounds like that's no longer the case. And I think that's really sad. I mean, obviously Lauren's mom was everything behind them breaking up when they did. And who knows what would have happened without that, like regardless of whether they would have been, their generation's couple who like made it. I think that it's just heartbreaking to think however that played out, whether they were that one or even if they did break up and just like kind of remain friends, they don't even have the option of how that would have played out on its own. All they have now is looking back as this being the memory of their first love, both of them, for the rest of their lives. I hate it. I hate it all. I hate it for them. I hate it. It just breaks my heart. I want to just go and squeeze Lauren and just say, girl, I'm so sorry. It is freaking hard enough. I can't even imagine. There were days I'm sure so many of us can remember like in this era of being like, well, this life sucks. Like, is this all there is to life? Because like, I don't want to do it anymore with all the hormones and everything. And then having this on top of it and it being the person that you as a young girl go to and need to trust and like love and look for comfort the most. Like that is just, I hate it. Anyways, apparently I hadn't seen this movie, but when I was looking into, more about this case after I watched the documentary, I came across an article that said that there was like one of those Lifetime movies done about this. And Lisa Rinna, Lisa Rinna, she starred in it as like Kendra's character. It's like based on this and it's called Mommy Meanest. So we got to add that to the list of trash Lifetime movies. Those are right up there these days with like the obscure documentaries that I've been addicted to right now, like Set Up, the one about the competitive world of tablescaping. Crazy. So good. Also Catwalk 1 and Catwalk 2. Canadian, which let's go Canada. I'm so glad this is what's got us on the map. It's about the super competitive world of cat competitions, you know, like Best in Show, like for dogs and stuff like that. Is that what it's called? I always say that because of the movie Best in Show. I love that movie. Mockumentary. So these are documentaries that seem like they're mockumentaries, you know, like Waiting for Guffman or Best in Show or my God, Spinal Tap, you know, like something like that. This is like that level of what am I watching? It's amazing, but it's real. Another really good one, Chicken People. So yeah, between that and Lifetime movies, I'm just really finding fun ways to decompress after wanting to like rage, and like I don't have a way of saying it that is not threatening. So we'll just leave it at that, okay? And we're gonna leave it at this. This is it for me today. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It means the world to me. I love you and I appreciate you so much. Thank you again to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. When you're seeing this, I'm going to be in Denver. I'm going to be in Denver at CrimeCon. I'm so freaking excited. So hopefully I am seeing you. Or I will get to see you tomorrow, which will be Saturday when you're watching this, because you're going to be watching it on Friday. It's not Friday for me right now, but it'll be Friday for you when you watch this. Oh, and then so I'll be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I hope to give you big squishes and see some familiar faces. I already know some people that I got to see last year in Nashville are going to be going to Denver, and I'm so excited. Chelsea will also be coming along this trip too. So if you know her, come and say hi. And I'm so excited. So next episode, we'll debrief on how all of that went. I always come back like very motivated and invigorated, and I get to meet like even more like families who, you know, need help with a platform and exposure for their case. So stay tuned for all of that. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It means the world to me. It helps me more than you know. I love and I appreciate you so much. I will see you in the next video. I will miss you terribly. Until then, make sure to love each other, love yourself, and I will see you soon. Bye.